You are a B2B service-based business owner and you are looking to gain more clients, create more impact and more revenue in your business. Tune in to Amplify Your Marketing Message with Kirstin Campbell-Rappin. Every week, we're going to take you through how to build an audience of buyers, mastering your marketing message, and making offers that convert consistently. We'll see you all on the inside. I am here to shake up the world of marketing today and to finally get you to ditch the bro marketing that you may have been taught that doesn't work from your business so that you can attract more high ticket clients and feel good about it on both sides of the table. I'm super excited to introduce to you our next guest today. This is somebody who has an absolute cracker of an idea. How about you change the way you sell so that you actually win in today's marketplace? Please give a very warm welcome to our guest today, Kirstin. Carey, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
I am excited to have this conversation. And I remember last year I had a conversation I was speaking at, and I said, the world of bro is dead. And everyone's like, oh, thank God. And yet, it's like a bad penny.
And yet.
It's coming back in certain industries and certain people. And it's a thing that's still being taught in the marketplace. And so I want to talk first off, what does we mean when it comes to the word of bro marketing? And what are we talking about here?
Everybody knows that energy, right? That push, force, convince, manipulate energy, where you feel like, if you said all the right things in the right combination, you would be able to trick somebody into saying yes, and then you would get their credit card, and then you would sell them something. And, it's that whole, coffee is for closers from the movie where they just kept giving everybody these, terrible leads, and they were forcing them to get money from people and manipulate them. And it feels icky and awful. But the broiest of bro guys, right? And a lot of them were the ones who we built the idea of business from, but it got, I think, taken out of context for a lot of people. And then it just went sideways.
It did went sideways, and it turned into this, the sky is falling if you don't make a second in a nanosecond. This idea that if you just had this script to sell, which somebody has sold you, it's you that's the problem, because it works for me. I sold you, you should be able to sell somebody else. And it cascades this ripple of there's only one way to build a business. And truthfully, if you're living in that scarcity selling and you see it, I will tell you right now, you're being sold. Because the truth is, there's always opportunity.
Yep. There's always, the pie can always be bigger, right? And we just have to find the slice that works for us. And most of us don't need millions of clients to make money. We need a handful. Most small businesses can have a handful of clients a year, and they're doing really well in 6 and 7 and 8 figures. So this idea that I have to sell everyone that comes down the pike is also, I think, a misnomer. And it's coming from that fear space, that commission breath, that, oh my gosh, if I don't sell this next one, then I'm not going to make my, mortgage or my rent, or can't pay the people. So that fear scarcity mindset is what drives a lot of that.
It does. And so guys, if you're worried that you have to sell every single warm-bodied person you're in front of, the issue isn't that you have to sell every warm body in front of you. It's that you need to build a bigger audience of more people so that you can embrace the truth that not everybody is ready. Not everybody who expressed interest is a buyer. And truthfully, if they're not your people, maybe not selling them is actually a better option.
And that's your job. Yeah, that's your job, is to understand who is the right person for what it is that I have to offer to get the results the way that I get them, and who's the right person for me to help to the other side, and who are the wrong people for me to help them to a no. So your job as a salesperson, and we're all salespeople. This is the other thing that I think a lot of people don't understand. It's not a position. I mean, it is for some people, right? But it's not. It's a leadership role. It's every single one of us is selling somebody something at some point. We were selling our spouses on where to go to eat dinner that night. We were selling our children on saying yes to the right thing. We're selling our dogs to come in when we call them. We are selling an idea that we want somebody to do something, and they want to also do it. So how do we get us all on the same page to want the same things?
And I love that you just said that. We want the same things. And that's why it's so important that you put yourself in the shoes of the other side. And buyers evolve. There's a lot of commentary that the sky is falling, that the word recession's happening, and that there's just no money moving hands. And I am going to say, beware of the garbage you're believing, because it's not accurate for everybody. And it's the lens in which you play really cascades into the response that others feel. But you have a comment that buyers are changing, buyers are more skeptical, they're more authentic. How do we win if we don't do what we've been modeled, which is the bro side?
This is a great question. So, I mean, the first thing is to understand what your role is or your job is when you're in the sales process. It's not to get the credit card. It's not to get the deposit. It's not even to get the yes. Your job is to help the other person that you're talking to or the other people that you're talking to get clarity around what they need to get them from where they are now to where they want to go, and being super clear on where do they want to go. Right? So that's our job. And then if we have a solution that is the bridge from where they want to go to where they want to be, then we help them see, is that the right thing for you right now? Or is it a no? So if you go into that conversation with the idea that I'm here to help you find clarity, I'm a conduit to the clear understanding of what you need right now. And if I happen to have a solution, we'll talk about that too. Then it totally changes the vibration of who you are. Most people see the sales process as an adversarial process. You're on this side of the table, I'm on this side of the table, and we have to come to a conclusion, and neither one of us is going to be happy at the end. Yeah. Like, no, it's not just, oh, I'll give you this, I'll give you this. It's what do you need to get what you want? And do I have something that can solve that for you? And is it the right thing for you right now to get the results? You can then spin to the other side of the table and sit next to them, be an advocate for them. And I am really clear when I get on calls with people when it's an official sales process, but even when I'm coaching my clients, or even when I'm working with somebody that, it's just my spouse and where do we want to go to dinner kind of thing, is can we be on a team together to get to a solution that solves something that I need and something that you need? Not can I convince you and push you and trick you and keep you out of the trust factor. And it shouldn't be that way. And when you feel like it's that way, something isn't right. You're vibrating with the wrong thing, or you're vibrating in an energy of where you think you're supposed to be going or what your job is right now. And that's that bro-y, we're in an adversarial fight process. It's not. We're friends here. And if it's a no, I want to get you to a very clear no.
And I love that you separate this into two separate conversations. And it can be in the same meeting, just so we're clear, but it's two separate phases of things. The first piece we would say in the world of sales, it's discovery. It's the questioning. It's the peeling back the layers to get to clarity and asking the question, would you like me to make a recommendation? And if the answer is yes, I'm curious about a possible solution. You're right. You're suddenly on the same side of the table. Like, this is one of many choices. And we're all aware of that when we're in the discussion. But the moment someone says, I want to receive, you're out of bro. And from there, you're saying, now that you've heard my recommendation, would you like me to make an offer? And that is a separate stage. It could be a separate call. It can be the same one. But at that stage, you're signaling, and you should use very clear language. I'm making you an offer. Would you like to have one? And the goal is a decision, not the yes, respect the no, but to say, do you have enough knowledge and clarity to make a good decision? And if the decision is to move forward, we're on the same side of the table, which is why the bro language of closing a client makes me crazy, because it's stop of something. I won. I closed it. I won. And it's like, you actually start a new beginning.
Yeah. And it's not a win or lose situation. I think that's where people get hung up in this too. It's not a black and white scenario. It's how can I help you find that clarity around this? I'm not trying to win. And because when you win, someone has to lose. That's not how this is supposed to go. Can we come together and find the best solution for everyone? And people are like, well, that never happens that way. I'm like, it happens that way all the time when you want it to, and you see it that way. But if you bring someone in through that bro-y kind of push force energy, there's still this mistrust that occurs. And when you take them on as a client and they don't fully trust you, you don't then get the full part of them to help them the best way you can. They hold back without knowing. They hold back knowing some of the information that could be helping you get them to the results that they want in the program or in the solution or in the product that you're giving them. But if you don't understand all that coming in, you may be bringing in the wrong person who can mess up. Like if you have a group program and you bring the wrong people in, that can actually hurt the results of the other people in the program too. That takes up more of your time, effort, and energy. If we've ever, and I know everybody on this call has probably had this happen, where you get that client that you pushed over the line because you knew you could, but you probably shouldn't have based on where they were at that time.
Yesterday,
and
I dodged a bullet on one of those.
And you're like,
I am so glad at the end of this that I was like, we are not a fit, and I'm going to, Hail Mary myself into a bad decision in a group.
Yeah, because when you've made the decisions before and that guy calls you and they're the thorn in your side all day long and they're the one that's ruffling all the feathers everywhere and your whole team hates them and it's a problem, you realize that's me. That was on me. I brought this person in, and they make your life so much harder than it needed to be, and they don't get the results and they don't give you the referrals, and in fact they may complain about you and they actually mess up the results for other people. That's when you go, oh, part of my job is to filter out the wrong people and help them to a no as well.
Well, and I want to fine tune one thing here, and that you said that it is our responsibility to make the offer. It is our responsibility to evaluate the fit and to create the possibility. And it is still our responsibility at the same time to ask this question of ourselves: is the greatest good served here? And
Yes.
if the answer is yes, that doesn't mean that you simply say, let it go, and we don't try to reach a conclusion. It is important, and I think I say this often in sales calls: do not mistake my certainty that this solution solves the problem for pressure that the decision has to be made now.
Yes. Yep.
But to have the conversation and say, you need to solve it now, it is in your interest, I'm advocating for you. Mm-hmm. Believe that yes can be the conduit. I will respect the no, but I have a certainty that, please, when you're listening, audience, don't think that the answer is just I collapse the sale. No. I hold the certainty and said, in your interest, you've told me this is viable, and I want to stay in the fear conversation that you're experiencing of, I'm scared to say yes, and I'm scared to say no. Let's keep working through it, respecting the decision that you come to.
100%. And I think the word that you used a second ago is the most important piece here is advocacy. You are the advocate, right? For the best interest of that person as well as you. Now, if that person is telling you this has to happen and I need to have these things, and these are all the reasons that I need to have this solution, and you are certain that that solution that you have is going to get them there, then you need to hold that space for them and mirror back to them when they say, oh, well, but it's not the right time. Oh, well, it's too expensive. Oh, well, I have to talk to my spouse. All those things. I'm like, okay, again, I'm not attached to your outcome. I'm just going to reflect back something to you that I've seen. Is that okay? You get the permission. They say, yeah, it's okay. I said you needed this. You were willing to do whatever it took. This is now the answer that you've given. Is that just fear that you're so familiar with saying? Because making a change and a shift like this can feel scary. How do you feel about that? And they're like, oh, you're right. I'm terrified right now. I'm like, well, then you're in the right place. So let's have a conversation. Do you want my help through that?
Yeah.
And sometimes they say no.
We say, yeah, 100%. And we have this every day. And truthfully, you should be selling every day, guys. You know, that's a core piece of the success formula to creating impact. And I had this conversation yesterday when someone's like, I need this so much. I've been in business 20 years. I had a tough year last year. And I'm now wobbly because I'm struggling with my certainty that I know how to do this. And we got to the stage where I said, would you like to make you an offer? And they said yes. And I presented an offer. And the immediate response was, I can't possibly commit to that because I've got a 2-week holiday. And I said, I just need to reflect back what you said to me. So you're going to be on 2 weeks of holiday, which means you, in fact, miss 1 hour of a program, which is 6 months. And I said, so can I just reflect back 1 hour for 6 months of support on a solution that you came to me to ask for? Help me understand how that's a logical justification for your immediate response. I mean, if it's not the right time, that's not the conversation we're having. Your perspective is the one I want to put the light on.
Yes. And that's what they want you to be there for, because especially if you're a coach or you're a high performance solution person, not pushing back on them and showing them that mirror in that conversation also makes them not trust you. Mm-hmm. So you might, there's no point where you ever lose a sale. I don't think this is, again, a win or lose situation. So you haven't lost the sale, but you've missed an opportunity to get truthful with somebody, to get real with somebody, and to help them break something, a pattern that has been keeping them stuck, which is the very reason they're sitting in front of you right now.
Yeah. And for sure, I said, we gave some, in this case, I will say, I gave some breathing room. They're in an experience with me already. And I said, I know that the moment you step out of it, the vacuum it will create will be illuminating for you. And the invitation is to step back in and solve that one week holiday. And we have the invitation. I said, it's before you. You will choose to pick it up or not. And I'm certain we can help you. When you're ready, I want to stay as a viable conversation. And so let's talk about the psychology of a buyer and what we need to be mindful of so we don't slide into that bro energy. Because again, the biggest thing we don't appreciate is how much this is already part of our past, because it's been everywhere for years.
Yeah. I mean, most of our patterns, most of what we believe to be true occurred up and got locked in by the time we turned 7 years old. We're sensory beings. We're born as sensory beings. We took in the information through what we saw, what we felt, what we heard, how we were literally vibrating. Everything is vibrating, right? So animals and babies typically are working off of this vibration energy, which is not woo-woo. It's measurable. It's all the things. But by the time we turn 7, something occurs in the brain and it starts shifting more into a conscious mindset, a conscious understanding of trying to figure out the logic of the world. So, but our patterns, which are all subconscious, basically got locked in up to that point. Then we start to try to make sense out of them in our logic. So most people are still making all of their decisions, taking all of their actions based on what they learned that was safe or not safe up to the age of 7. So if you have parents who were afraid of money, didn't understand how money worked, were constantly complaining about it, talked about rich people being terrible people and poor people being the better people, whatever the story was, and I'm not giving you any judgment here, that is actually part of your logic, your emotions, your decision-making process. So you have to remember that you as the salesperson and the people that you were selling or in the sales conversation with are coming from an area a lot of the times that got locked in when they were 6, 5, 4 years old. So you're not working with an adult who is balanced most of the time. You're working with somebody who has a fear set that got locked into their subconscious that they're not even aware of. So when you can hold space in a way that lets them feel safe to tell you the things, you're not judging them. You're helping them find a solution to what they say they want, even if it's not your stuff right now. You're like, it's not me. They feel that vibration. But if you are also afraid of money and you're afraid to ask for numbers, I've stepped onto the sales teams of clients of mine just to see, like, if their salespeople are saying, we have terrible leads and no one wants to buy right now and the economy is terrible. I'm like, I want to see if that's real. Or, I mean, so sometimes there is information in there that you're all seeing the same thing. And I've stepped onto sales teams where people are doing 11% closes and I do a 67% close. And a lot of the times it's because they're selling something they don't believe they could do or use either.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're afraid of, and you've never sold a program that's $15 or $20 or $50,000, and you're telling somebody on the other side that they can make that much money and you've never made that much money because you don't believe you can, not that you've just not done it, but you don't believe you can do it, you're sending that vibration across the table to the other person and they're feeling it, even if they don't understand what they're feeling. So they don't trust you, or they buy into your fear of not believing it's possible. Yeah. So all of that is happening while all of this is happening, because we're making decisions off of what we actually feel energetically, emotionally, physically, not logically, which most people are like, I'm a logical decision maker. I'm like, you're not. We're all coming from a sensory, emotional side. We justify it logically. Yep. So that's why we think we're all these logical people, but we're making the decision based on what we think is safe, based on what we learned a long time ago.
And that's why in a sales call, we bring the logic as the person who is making the offer. We know we're encountering a firestorm of emotions. We don't often even have a lot of visibility to some of those feelings other than the ones that have been articulated in the conversation to date. And we say, so if this is what you want, that is emotion. And this is what your behavior is. The logic is, tell me where there's a gap. And we always have one. Our job is to fill the gap, solve the gap, and invite them to explore through clarity a solution which we're presenting. And when it comes together, this never feels adversarial. There can be strong emotions in the conversation.
Which is different. Yeah.
Which is different.
Yeah.
I love
But
that.
most of us feel like if we feel that conflict,
we should run.
Especially women, if we feel that conflict, we need to be nicer. We need to give in. We need to let them utilize their fear to run themselves away from the solution that they say they want. And it's hard to hold space for somebody with no attachment to their outcome, which is very different than forcing someone. So that bro energy is not holding space. It's trying to make them move where you want them to move. What you want to be able to do is hold space that they get to feel whatever they want to feel. And then we get to reflect back. Is that going to help you get where you want to go? Yeah. Right. So that bro energy is, this is where you should be, and I'm going to force you to be over there. That holding space, feminine, actually flow energy is more of that energy of helping get them where they want to go based on how they want to get there. You help them, but you have to reflect back to them what they say they want, which is the logic, versus what they actually truly want, which is that underlying pattern.
I love this so much. And that's why even in my own space, and I've taken lots of sales training, and you're a very successful and well-trained salesperson, and we're still in the evolution of it. We keep the Post-it note, which says, my job is to have an opinion. My job is to give options. And my job is to hold the space. Yeah. And that means ride the emotions of it and bring logic to the equation. I want to ask you this because I ask everybody here in my show here, how are you winning business and creating impact in the same side of the table as your next client? What's working right now to amplify your impact?
It's truth and authenticity now more than I have ever seen in business. And I've been in business since I was 18 years old for myself, and I'm in my 50s now. So you can do the math on that. And I've never seen it. You need to be more truthful like ever before. So people are smarter than they were before about what's true, what we're being led to, being manipulated, and they're calling it out. Especially with like AI and some of the other things coming into play, a lot of people are really mistrusting what's going on. So as a business owner myself, I've really done some serious hard work around what feels good to me right now, what doesn't fall into how I feel truthful. So I have ditched things like Instagram. I have left a lot of the social media. I lean a lot into LinkedIn and being on podcasts. Frankly, I see that going to be the most important thing in social media because they're controlling what we're allowed to say. There's people out there that have no business saying that what I'm saying is true or false kind of thing, saying that it's true or false. I was in the health space for 15 years too, and there's a lot going on there. So I think a lot of us are looking at this going, what's true for how I vibrate with people? What's true for how people want to see me? So if you go look for me on LinkedIn, you'll see a lot of my old health stuff when I had a health business for 15 years. And you're going to see all my sales stuff on LinkedIn, on podcasts. And I'm a strong believer that whatever vibrates with you, lean into that. And don't worry about when everybody else says you have to be on Instagram 16 times a day and you have to be doing this. And whenever I put something out there, whether it's an email or whether it's something on LinkedIn or in a podcast, I'm speaking the truth as I see it right now. And sometimes I say stuff that people aren't going to love because it 100%. Makes them feel, but it's who I am and how I explain it. And if those people don't resonate with that version of me, they're not going to do well working with me anyway.
Yes.
Right. But they can feel the truth.
Yeah. I love this in its simplicity. We do not need to orchestrate for everybody. We do not need to contort ourselves for everybody. You get hired for your opinion. Please go have one and choose how and where you want to show up authentically. Kirstin, how do people find you to learn more about the work you're doing?
That is a great question. So evolveminded.com is the fastest, easiest place. They can find me on LinkedIn. I'm easy to find there. And if they want to go to the website, I have a resource there. It's free. I mean, there's an energy exchange. You give me your email address, I give you the resource, because everything's an exchange, right? But they can go to that and they can find more information on the 7 biggest sales mistakes that I find currently right now are costing people high ticket clients, and then how to fix them. Because I work with people through the Clarity enrollment method that I have, but this will start getting you a better understanding, this resource, on what you could be doing immediately and what you should be looking at kind of in a long-term process. So you can go to evolveminded.com/7 mistakes, or it's on the main page in the upper right-hand corner.
I love it, guys. Go connect to Kirstin, ditch the script, enroll more high-ticket clients. We don't need to do it in the bro way. That isn't working. And you are exactly who your next client is looking for. Thank you for being our guest today, guys. Everyone, we will see you on our next episode. We'll see you there. That's a wrap on another amazing episode of Amplify Your Marketing Message with me, your host, Kirstin Campbell-Rapin. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so you don't miss another great episode. And be sure to visit KirstinCampbellRapin.com/podcast to get a free resource on how to master your marketing message. We'll see you all on our next episode.